Something I wanted to talk about today is the 3-question challenge. This was posted by, I believe it was first posted by Moto G Spot, and then Boots and Jeans followed it up, and I think Doyle at the Blue Bike and Doyle channel was talking about doing it, or had already done it, but he hasn't published it yet. So I thought I'd do this challenge, and it'll be perfect for my ride today. So the 3-question challenge asks these questions. Number 1, what is the most fun you've ever had on your motorcycle? Second question is, what's the scariest thing you've ever done on your motorcycle? And what would you never do again? So, the first one, the most fun I've ever had on, actually technically it's on a motorcycle, not my motorcycle, but I would say the most fun I've had on a motorcycle was the trip to Montana that I took last June, I believe it was, maybe July, with my couple friends of mine, Bill and his wife Jim. We rode up to Missoula, Montana, and we left out of Wells, went across the I-80, much like Tony and I are doing today, and turned left on the 93, headed up into Twin, and then I think we picked up the 84 and went over to Pocatello, up through Idaho Falls, and then just headed north up into Montana. And I say that was the most fun because that was not too long after I bought this Harley-Davidson Heritage, and I'd never done any kind of ride like that. I'd always done just kind of short runs, probably never more than 50 miles in a day, actually. And on that trip, we were doing 350 to 400 miles a day, and then we stayed in hotels, and it was just fun. Those I got to know these they were new friends of mine at the time, and we just got to spend some time together and get to know each other. So we did 3 states on that ride, and it was a lot of fun. So I will say this though, every time I throw my leg over a motorcycle, it's fun. I have fun every time I throw so far anyway, I have. Every time I've thrown my leg over a motorcycle, it has been fun. So, alright, so that's question number 1. What's the most fun I've ever had on a motorcycle? And if I thought about that a little bit longer, I could probably come up with 5 times that were the most fun. I don't know, but alright, so moving on. So the scariest thing I ever did on a motorcycle would have been in my early 20s. I owned a Yamaha XS 1100. I think it was like a 1979. I think it was an inline 4. I put a 4-into-1 exhaust pipe on it. That thing was a beast, and that was back in the day when I was really kind of interested in top speed, and how fast could I go. And I just remember riding back from Oceanside, California to San Clemente, California with a buddy of mine who was on a 1100 Honda. I don't remember which one it was, but but what happened was we were racing back basically, and my speedometer maxed out at, I want to say 115, but it might have been 125. And I just remember he and I racing back to San Clemente, and I had that speedometer buried, and we we held it like that for a few minutes. I remember when I let off the throttle, it stayed pegged for probably 3 or 4 seconds. So I honestly have no idea how fast I was going, but I just remember that I was passing cars pretty darn fast, and at one point I think I almost landed in somebody's back seat. I came up on a car that was doing, you know, when you're doing what, 140 maybe? I don't know, I have no idea, but it wouldn't surprise me if I was doing about 140. And then you come up on traffic that's moving 65 or 70, you're going to come up on them pretty darn quick. So that was the scariest thing I've ever done, was burying that speedometer, and just how fast I would be coming up on the cars ahead of me. I remember that being a pretty kind of frightening but exciting experience. So finally, the last question is, what will you never do again on a bike? So what will I never do again on a bike? I would probably have to say one time I was riding home from college. It was the same bike, that XS 1100, and I just remember I was on kind of a frontage road that ran next to the I-5 in Southern California, and I remember I was definitely speeding, and I came blowing by a police officer who was sitting there. He was just kind of sitting on the side of the road, and as I went by him, instead of slowing down, I actually accelerated some more, and I had that really loud pipe on that bike, and I think I blew by this cop. I have no idea. Again, that's been a long time ago, over 30 years ago, or probably around 30 years ago. I'm not sure how fast I was going, but I came blowing by this police officer pretty darn quickly, and that pipe was making a lot of noise, so there's no doubt in my mind that he heard me and saw me go by. And like I say, instead of doing the right thing, which would have been slowing down, I actually accelerated and just kept on going, and he did not bother to come after me. So that wasn't very cool. I could have gotten in a whole lot of trouble for doing that, and so I will never, you know, truth be told, I try not to really speed anymore, you know, within reason. I try to keep it no more than about 5 to 10 miles over the speed limit, which I realize technically is speeding, but I'm not doing double the speed limit or anything like that. So yeah, so the third thing is what would I never do on a motorcycle again? Go blowing past a cop and actually accelerate with the idea that I'm gonna get away or some nonsense like that. So to recap, the first thing, the most fun I've ever had on a motorcycle would have to be the trip I took to Montana after owning this Harley-Davidson Heritage for probably 4 or 5 weeks at the time. The second was the scariest thing I've ever done on a motorcycle, and that was the time I buried the speedometer and just kept on going. And so I really don't know how fast I've ever been on a motorcycle, but it was plenty fast, that's for darn sure. And then the last thing, what will I never do on a motorcycle again? I will never be a punk and go blowing past a police officer and accelerate instead of decelerating. That was a pretty numbskull move, pretty much a numbskull move, if you ask me. So yeah, not proud of that last one. Not real proud of the second one, but you know, what can I tell you? I was in my early 20s, and that was back when something like that seemed like a good idea. So alright, so that's my 3-question challenge. I am not going to challenge anyone in this video But if you're watching this video and you're thinking you'd like to do this challenge, please do. That would be great. That would be great. So, alright, this is JP1970. Thanks for checking out this video, and until next time, be safe out there, everybody.